And we're here at the International Energy Forum on the 10th anniversary of the Symposium of the Dialogue on Outlook. So of course that's IEA, OPEC and the IEF. A great day to be here. Dr. Ayad Al-Qahtani joins me. He is the Director of Research at OPEC. Tell me, just how important is this day?
Indeed, it's a very special day for not only for the IEF, but also to all the participants that have joined us today, commemorating and celebrating the 10th anniversary of the IEA-IEF-OPEC Symposium on Energy Outlooks. We have seen in the gathering a wide spectrum of participants. We had consumers, producers, as well as energy technology developers, policymakers. They all gathered here today to exchange views on the outlooks, how most likely the global economic landscape is to evolve in the short, medium, and longer term. Very special day indeed.
It is indeed. And now also, of course, we had a very special guest, the Energy Minister from Saudi Arabia, His Highness Prince Abdulaziz joined us too. But he has always been with us when we think back on this dialogue. Talk to us a little bit about his involvement.
We indeed thank His Royal Highness Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman Al Saud, the Energy Minister of Saudi Arabia, for honoring us with his presence today. He's inaugurated the symposium today, and we've always appreciated the kind and very insightful remarks of His Royal Highness. Today he's talked to us about the inception of the IEF. As you know, he's the most instrumental and pivotal, I would say, maybe a godfather of this organization, not only establishing the IEF, but also establishing the symposium about 20 years ago for the IEF and 10 years ago for the Outlook Symposium.
And of course, we're here in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. Also a very, very important time to be here too with the G20 here. So a lot of focus on the city and indeed on the country at the moment.
Indeed, the host country, Saudi Arabia, the best place for an international platform of an organization, the caliber of the IEF, to be at, especially given the critical and key role that Saudi Arabia, as the host country of the IEF, is playing on the global energy landscape. Saudi Arabia continues to lead by example, kept up the enlightening role that it has carried in stabilizing global energy markets. Oil markets in specific is always demonstrated by example, sacrifices its resources in many occasions to ensure the world a stable stream of energy, oil in specific. The Saudi role in the declaration of cooperation between OPEC and or participating non-OPEC countries into the declaration of cooperation has been very pivotal, very instrumental, very key. Saudi has demonstrated its diplomacy and tact. I'm sure you have been with us in many of those declaration of cooperation related meetings, and it is a leading role that Saudi Arabia has decided to take the burden to undertake for the overall good for everyone who's in the market.
And while we're just on that topic, just the success of the Declaration of Cooperation and indeed the Charter, I think we need to just have a quick word on that. It's still ongoing, it's been very strong, and it really has, it's proved to have been a great decision to start with.
Indeed, I have shared in my presentation in this very commemorable occasion the Declaration of Cooperation and the role of the Declaration of Cooperation that it has played re-stabilizing the market, re-ensuring that investments make it back to the market. Since its inception, the December of 2016, it has managed eliminating a lot of the surplus and the overhang above the 5-year average that we have witnessed. It was north of 400 million barrels in one day. I think it was July 2016. And since then, it has demonstrated success with extremely high, more than 117 for the years 2017 and 18, and north of 140% in 2019. It continues to demonstrate and lead by example. I think the Declaration of Cooperation has been a great success, not only on eliminating the overhang of the stocks, but also maybe ensuring a safer environment for investors to re-inject required investments back into the upstream oil and gas. And that's very critical, as it will prevent or mitigate against any price spikes in the future.
Now, talk to me a little bit about the dialogue and that dialogue, particularly what's been happening at this meeting too. A lot of issues coming up here and really great contribution from many different voices and many diverse voices. This is also very important that the dialogue has actually widened over the years.
In this anniversary, as you have seen, we have shared the OPEC Secretariat insight from the existing publications. As you know, we publish a monthly oil market report. We published the last one last Wednesday. We also publish a World Oil Outlook annual, and it's one of the flagship publications that we have. I shared the insight of these two publications with the distinguished audience today. I took them over our views on the short, medium, and long term. As well as our colleagues at the IEF or the IEA, they have shared the same. We've compared notes. Today we have we had one full session comparing and contrasting the two outlooks to identify where they are different, why the differences are. This is for the sake to enlighten decision makers why these outlooks are different, what is the source and the discrepancy that justifies the difference in picture. It's a compare and contrast. And this is for the sake of maybe being clear and transparent about the assumptions, and therefore they can devise and derive the right policies when it comes to maybe implementation of certain policies or mechanics to the market.
And of course, when it started 10 years ago, it was very much to bring the producers and the consumers together. 20 years ago when that happened for the IEF, but actually bringing this symposium together to really add more transparency to the market. And I guess the work that you do at OPEC and the work that IEF is doing at Jody, and you've been very involved in this, has really added to make that very successful and bring that transparency to everybody.
It was unthink of or unthought of 10 years ago to have one session whereby we would sit across the table or on the same side of the table and compare and contrast our outlooks with peer organization. I'm talking about the IEA or EIA. Today, in this very special occasion, in the 10th anniversary of the Outlook, similar to what we had in previous occasions, we also discussed the outlooks projections of others. In the room today, as you have probably seen, we've had government institutions, international institutions, we had academic institutions, we had consultancy houses, energy companies, international oil companies from various different parts of the world. We've had North America, Europe, Middle East, and Asia. And it's this facilitative dialogue that really inspires maybe good ideas, maybe instigates new policies, more thought of maybe decisions. And it is the dialogue that we all aspire to have. At OPEC, we run a very intensive dialogue program with governments, with institutions, be it academic or consultative, and we benefit a whole lot out of exchange of ideas, access to data, facilitating more discussions. It's the debate, the discussions, and the insight that we gain at the end of the day that we gain out of these dialogues. And I think the IEF has demonstrated the leadership by example in this front.
And of course, it keeps everybody more informed, without a doubt. Talk to me a little bit about the future of the IEF. Do you see it as a very important and a very relevant organization? Of course, as we also embrace, the new energy transition, how important its role will be within that.
We have talked about the 10th anniversary for Symposium of Energy Outlooks. Next month, we will get together in Vienna to also celebrate the 7th occasion of the interaction or the workshop, physical and financial interaction for the oil markets. Later in the year, we will have the 5th Gas and Coal Symposium in Paris. So it's these dialogue activities, when they are successful, they expand and they branch into more fruitful exercise. We've seen IRENA as well as GECF. So the family is growing bigger. And I think we are becoming, at the IEF, a bigger dialoguing platform, and I'm sure the merits will demonstrate value as we go forward.